Chapter 1.4 The structure of the cardiovascular system. In this video, we're going to look at how the system works as what we call a double circulatory system and look at the different types of blood vessels that are contained within the system. So then, the cardiovascular system is made up of the heart, the blood vessels and the blood. And its main functions are to deliver the oxygen and nutrients to the working muscles and organs around the body, whilst also removing the waste products that the organs and the muscles produce. Blood in the system is often referred to as either being in an oxygenated or deoxygenated state. So if it's oxygenated, it means it contains a lot of oxygen, so it's oxygen rich. And if it's deoxygenated, it doesn't contain quite as much oxygen. The double circulatory system that we've referred to at the start, this is seeing the cardiovascular system made up of being two separate circuits, and these are what we call the pulmonary system and the systemic system, and both of these pass through the heart, which acts as a pump to push the blood along. So here we can see the two separate circuits in diagram form. So the pulmonary circuit or the pulmonary system takes blood away from the heart to the lungs and back to the heart. The systemic system takes blood from the heart around the body, particularly to the working muscles and the organs, and then back to the heart. So look at the pulmonary system in a little bit more detail then. Its job is to take deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs. Whilst at the lungs, this blood then becomes oxygenated, so it receives oxygen and becomes oxygen rich. Whilst at lungs, the waste products, particularly carbon dioxide, are removed from the blood before it is then pumped back to the heart. Once this oxygenated blood has come from the lungs and gone back to the heart, it is then enters the systemic system, where it's pumped from the heart all around the body. So the blood in particular goes to the working muscles and the organs to deliver the oxygen nutrients that these muscles and organs need. This sees the blood then becoming deoxygenated because the oxygen has been stripped away from the blood because the muscles and organs need it in order to work, and it then returns to the heart whilst also containing the waste products that the muscles and the organs have produced. So in summary, the pulmonary system takes blood or deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs, so it becomes oxygenated and has any waste products removed from it, before returning back to the heart, where it enters the systemic system, where the oxygen and nutrients are delivered to the working muscles and the organs before becoming deoxygenated blood going back to the heart. So we've talked a lot about how blood travels through these two systems, the systemic and the pulmonary circuits. And the way it does is through a series of different blood vessels. And the three that we need to know about are what we call arteries, veins and capillaries. So this is what these three blood vessels look like in a cross-sectional diagram. And as you can see, they differ in terms of the size and the shape. So we'll look at them in more detail now then. The arteries, their job is to take blood away from the heart. And the easiest way to remember is the A for away is the same as the A for arteries. So they take blood away from the heart. They tend to carry oxygenated blood. The only exception to this is the pulmonary artery, which takes deoxygenated blood away from the heart to the lungs. They have a thick muscular wall, which can either increase the diameter, which is what we call vasodilation, or it can decrease the diameter, which is called vasoconstriction. And this allows us to control blood flow. So if it's got a large diameter, it means more blood can flow through the artery. If it's got a small diameter, it means less blood can flow through the artery. They have what we call small passageways for the blood, and this is what we call lumen. So the lumen of the artery is the size of the particular passageway. And because it has a small lumen, this means the blood is under high pressure whilst in an artery. So if we were to cut an artery open, you would see the blood splurting out everywhere. So when you see a lot of horror films and you see the blood going out everywhere, this is when an artery has been shredded or been cut. And the largest artery that we have in the body is what we call the aorta. That's the one that we really need to know about. Moving on then, we have veins, okay? And these take blood back to the heart. And these carry deoxygenated blood apart from the pulmonary vein, which takes oxygenated blood back to the heart from the lungs. Whereas the arteries have thick muscular walls, the veins only have thin walls, okay? And these have a larger passageway for the blood to travel through, so a larger lumen. As they've got a larger lumen, this means the blood is under lower pressure, okay? And as a result, we have to have valves in the veins to prevent the blood from flowing backwards. So because the arteries are under such high pressure, the blood's constantly being pumped through them, which is aided by the muscular walls. But because the veins don't have these muscular walls and it's under lower pressure, there can be a tendency, particularly because of gravity, for the blood to flow backwards. So we need these valves, these kind of doors in effect, to stop the blood from flowing backwards. And the largest vein in the body is what we call the vena cava. So look at our final type of blood vessel, and this is the capillaries, okay? And these are found in high numbers, particularly in the muscles and lungs. They contain blood under very low pressure, and they have very thin walls, which are typically only 1 cell thick. The reason that we have these very thin walls is because they allow what we call gaseous exchange, okay, to take place. And this is where the oxygen passes from the blood through the capillary wall into the muscle tissue. And conversely, they allow carbon dioxide and other waste products to travel out the muscle, out the organs, through the capillary walls into the blood. So having looked at these 3 vessels in a little bit more detail, it probably makes a little more sense why the 3 vessels are shaped and sized as they are. So we can see again the artery having these thick muscular walls which will help to push the blood along, and only very small lumen, which means the blood is under very high pressure. Whereas if we look at the vein, these are thinner walls, they don't contain as much muscle, so it's not going to help that blood flow at all. But they have a larger lumen, which is the diameter, which means the blood is under a lot lower pressure. And there you can see the capillaries. There's loads and loads and loads of these in the muscles and the organs. Look how thick, look how thin the walls are in these particular vessels, which means diffusion, or better still, gaseous exchange can take place, where oxygen leaves the blood and goes into the organs and the muscles, and carbon dioxide can travel the other way. So then, we've looked at the 2 different circuits, the pulmonary system and the systemic system, and we've looked at the 3 different types of blood vessels. You need to fill in your flip learning map now with this particular information, but more importantly, you need to watch this video again and again and again so you understand the double circulatory system and the different types of blood vessels contained within it.